She's not here.
Here.
Yeah.
I saw. Yeah. Yeah.
There he
There he
is.
is.
Yep.
Here.
Thank you. I would like to announce to the public that we had an executive session on June 10th, 2021 to discuss the Act 44 and personnel items. For the public watching the meeting via YouTube, if you have any questions, comments, please direct them to schoolboard@dvsd.org. Jessica is monitoring that site. I did want to mention that if you do send us an email, all emails are subject to the right to know law, so that if someone wants to see the emails that you sent to us and they have been distributed to the board, they do get to look at that. So just be aware that that has occurred. Let's see, adoption of the agenda. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of the minutes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the regular board meeting held on May 13th, 2021? Motion, please. Any comments on the minutes? All in favor? Motion carries. Reports. We have with us tonight Abigail. Perhaps you can tell us how things have gone in the last month of your career here.
Okay, so I'd first like to say that several teams from the Delaware Valley School District competed in the Odyssey of the Mind Virtual Worlds competition. The DVHS technical team placed first place at OM World Finals, and the DVMS technical team placed second place at World Finals. Also, our girls lacrosse, boys lacrosse, and boys volleyball teams were all made district champions. The Delaware newspaper staff was able to publish a 40-page senior edition on top of their regular edition. And Delaware Valley High School held 3 night events for our students. The first was Scholarship Night, where over $200,000 in generous donations from the community were given to our 2021 graduates. The second, it was Athletic Recognition Night, where each coach from all 3 seasons recognized their outstanding athletes. And the last was Student Recognition Night, where our competitive clubs were able to recognize those students who achieved greatness within their clubs. Additionally, our drama club released Once Upon a Mattress the weekend of June 12th via seatyourself.biz for the entire community to enjoy. The cast was able to overcome all obstacles they faced due to the COVID restrictions. And lastly, I would like to say thank you for all that the school board and administration has done to make this year successful. I truly appreciate all that you have done, and I'm glad that I was able to report all that the members of the high school were able to accomplish during their challenging year. Thank you.
Thank you, Abigail. Does anyone have any questions for Abigail? And Abigail, you're heading off to Lehigh
Yes, I am.
and studying what again?
It's a dual major in computer science and business.
Awesome. Excellent. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Let's give you a tremendous. Thank you for hanging in with us this year via Zoom, via in person, and tonight we can see you also. So it's great.
Thank you.
You have in front of you administrative reports and attendance reports. Any comments on those? If not, I just wanted to point out the incredible report from Dr. Constantino this month that went on a page and a half of all the outstanding great things that happened at the high school, which Abigail just mentioned a few of them over the past 4 to 6 weeks. So I just wanted to congratulate her on a very successful high school. Was this her first year or second? First year? This is her first year. Yeah. So, Dr. Kenson. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. It was her first year? No, he's only kidding. Yeah. Yeah. So congratulations to Dr. Constantino on a great year. Yeah. Financial reports. Any comments on the financial reports? If not, we'll move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Bell.
First and foremost, graduation is tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. The gates open at 6. Normally at this meeting, we honor the top 25 seniors and the retirees, but because school is out and everything else going on this year, we've honored them in different ways. The top 25 seniors have been on the listed on the website for the last 25 days. You got to see one a day to honor them. And it really is an amazing class. So many great schools that they're going to, and kids going to the military, but it's our first kid going to Harvard undergrad. We've had lots of Harvard grad kids, but it's our first Harvard undergrad in over 20 years. So it's really neat. And also Johns Hopkins and a couple to Cornell and to Bucknell. And this is a heck of a class. They're really something. In terms of retirees this year, we have one administrator, 9 teachers, and 14 support staff for a total of 24 people with 646 years of service to Delaware Valley. 646 years. It's incredible. And I just want to read the list real quick to recognize them. Some of you may recognize some names. Mark Alderfer, 31 years. Cindy Baker, 25 years. Terry Baker, 7 years. Joyce Batista Parker, 21 years. Karen Caldwell, 21 years. Jill Carmadella, 32 years. Kathy Capola, 22 years. Bridget Crawford, 18 years. Mark Sykoski, 35 years. Linda DeBoer, 25 years. Irene Flood, 19 years. Eve Hausnick, 21 years. Joe Kuzner, 34 years. Caroline Lehman, 28 years. Bruce Masker, 18 years. Carol Morgan, 22 years. Bill Need, 12 years. Lori O'Malley, 33 years. Joe Renero, 30 years. Marie Sherlock, 20 years. Rosemarie Sigismundo, 19 years. Cindy Vanderhoff, 24 years. Jason Vandertorn, 24 years. And Janine Yalango, 25 years, for a total of 646. So we thank each and every one of them and all those different job areas that they work in. We can't say thank you enough, and wish you nothing but best of luck and the best of health going forward. And then Abby, I just wanted to mention one thing that Abby had mentioned. We've always had tremendous success with Odyssey of the Mind, or what we call OM. And we've had multiple teams take second in the world, but this is the first time we've ever had first place in the world. And this year we had a second place with the DV middle and first place with the high school. So it's another first for us. So congratulations to all those kids. So that's all I have, sir.
Thank you. You have in front of you the treasurer's report. May I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
Motion. Second.
Questions on the treasurer's report? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Bills for payment. May I have a motion to accept the bills for payment, which include the general fund, the cafeteria fund, the 2021B capital projects fund, and the capital reserve fund. Motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Any questions on paying the bills? All in favor of paying the bills, say aye.
Aye.
The bills are paid. All right, all those, let's see, personnel items. Now, this is long. May I have a motion to approve the personnel items, including resignations that John just mentioned, appointments, requests for child-rearing leaves, requests for extension of bereavement, change of status, and requests for sabbatical leave with the retirements accepted with regret. Motion, please.
Motion.
Thank you. Second. Any question on that long list that you have all of those in your pamphlet or on your screen? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So at this time, we will need a short executive session to discuss student issues and personnel items. We will be returning hopefully shortly. Motion, please.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Motion carries. superintendent. Next to her is Ashley Zimmerman. She's our attorney solicitor. And then Bill Hessling is our business manager. And then Julie Wall is our secretary, board secretary. So I just want to make sure everyone knows that we are doing this with their backs to you because of 6-foot distancing. The first time we met here, we were stretched all the way out and no one could really hear each other and way that way. So we came up with this design that I had forgotten in the past. You know, they are not deliberately putting their backs to you other than to be in compliance with the COVID rules, which will be going away very shortly. Items for approval, may I have a motion for the approval of additional volunteers?
Motion.
Second. Any discussion on the volunteers? There's a line list in front of you. Any opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion for the acknowledgement of the completion of the induction process 2020-2021 for the following individuals. And I think I'll read their names, John. It's a very important part of the step. Courtney Cabrera, Marielle Calaro, Julian Feast, Laura Flack, Jody Cressy, Jeffrey Moores, Kara Morelli, Brandon Morby, Lindsay Pasquale, Carly Props, Sarah Rainey, Brandy Rippa, Joanne Stratton, David Torres, Kristen Chusa, Marissa Zenny, Haley Vogel, and Nadine Zacchio have all passed the first year and are now being inducted into our teaching class. So I have a motion, please. Motion. Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Any opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion for the recommendation for tenure for the following individuals, and I'll read their names. And this is if they've completed 3 full years here at Delaware Valley. Victoria Bednar, Brian Crowley, Sarah Fitzky, Catherine Hunt, Patrick Dinguli, Jolene Lentowski, I'm sorry if I butchered that, Jenna Peters, Tina Reese, Andrew Rupp, and Jerica Tallow. Motion, please. Motion.
Second.
Any questions? Any opposed? Motion carries. I have a motion for the approval to extend or renew the listing agreement number 16-773 with Chant Realtors from July 1, 2021 through December 31, 2021 for the front portion of the Biondo property located at 206 and 209. Motion, please. Motion.
Second.
Any discussion on that? We're all really familiar with that. Got it. So we conducted some business while I was muted, and I apologize for that. Any discussion on the property that we're relisting? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of the final adoption of the 2021-2022 Delaware Valley School District General Fund budget, reflecting a 0% tax increase at the millage rate of 113.85 mils, with a balanced budget with revenues of $88,043,490 and potential use of unassigned fund balance of $859,505 and expenditures of $88,902,995, which includes salaries and wages for existing employees as presented as a budget supplement / adjustments, and approval of the resolutions for annual tax levy, homestead and farmstead exclusion, and transfer tax. And you have 3 attachments in your packet. May I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? The real estate mills are 113.85. The real estate transfer tax is 0.005. Any opposed? Do we need a roll call for the budget?
I don't think so.
No? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, may I have a motion for the approval of the 2020-21 budget amendment to recognize additional revenues from federal ESSER grant funds and additional revenues primarily from additional real estate taxes and real estate transfer taxes that are included in the approval of the 2020-21 budgetary transfers. And we have 3 pages of budgetary transfers. Thanks to Bill. May I have a motion, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of the propane gas bid for the period July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2024, with the option of extending it through June 30th, 2026, and you have an attachment for that. May I have a motion, please? Thank you. Second? We have a second. We discussed this last week pretty much. There was only one bidder. Is that correct, Bill? Just one bidder. And we are going with that as it does fall within our budget. Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of the extension of the full-service beverage vending contract with Pepsi Beverages Company commencing July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2026, a 5-year contract. May I have a motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the contract? All those in favor say aye. Motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of the selection of depositories as listed? And there are 9 there. I'm not going to read them. You can see them in front of you. It's all the local banks and so forth. Thank you.
Second.
Any opposed? Brian? Any opposed? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of grant applications as listed 1 through 12? And I guess I should read these. They're very important. Title I for $629,434. Title II for $118,382. Title IV for $44,260. IDEA for $821,936. IDA pass-through rider YY619 for $3,990. Federal impact aid for $710,000 even. Medical assistance access for $8,000. Perkins grant for $50,731. Thank you, Pam. Pre-K counts for $332,500. Ready to Learn block grant for $728,801. The Federal CARES Act COVID-19 ESSER for $2,337,745. And the American Rescue Plan Act COVID-19 ESSER number 3 for $4,792,242. Motion, please. All in favor of asking for this money, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of the district insurance coverage for July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, as listed in items 1 through 8. May I have a motion, please? Thank you, Brian.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on our insurance? Bill, is there any major changes in the insurance package?
The best piece of good news is our workers' comp went down about 18% or so from $354,000 down to $286,000. I mean, and our workplace safety committee works hard trying to do their best to prevent injuries on the workplace. So we're very happy to see that experience mod is down to very close to 1, which is the direction you want to head in. So,
All in favor of accepting the insurance, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? If not, the motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of the Type A school lunch cost for 2021-2022 school year at the same rates as the 2020-2021 as follows: elementary $2, middle high school $2.25, adult $3.50, and milk at 50 cents. Motion, please. Any discussion? How many years in a row since we had an increase? I don't want to stump you, Don, but it's 5 or 6.
I would say, I come up with 6 or 7.
6 or 7.
Yeah, that's my prediction anyway.
Good work to Justin. Thank you very much. Yeah. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? If not, the motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of the school breakfast program for 2022 school year at the same rates as the 2020-2021 as follows: breakfast $1.25, adult $2, milk 50 cents. Any motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of the middle and high school student handbooks per the attachments?
Motion.
Thank you, Corey. Second. Discussion. I think, Corey, you did middle school?
Yep, I took a look and everything was fairly straightforward. They sent me a copy of the red line version.
Right.
Straightforward. So.
Okay. And Jess, you did high school?
Same with high school.
High school, good. Okay. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have handbooks, John. You can print them up now. May I have a motion for the approval of the concurrent enrollment agreements, 1 and 2, Delaware Valley School District and Lackawanna College from 7/1/21 through 6/30/22, Delaware Valley School District and Keystone College from 9/1/21 through 6/30/22. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I have a motion for the expulsion of student 2020-2021 100-12375 for 90 school days with the right to reapply. After 45 school days, if all the stipulations are met, there is no discussion on this issue. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I have a motion for the approval of additional Delaware Valley adult and community education courses and instructors for summer 2021, according to the attachment that you all have. Motion, please.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on DVAs? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Please note in the minutes, the following policies are under review. 1 through 6, policy 103, discrimination/Title IX, sexual harassment affecting students. Policy 104, discrimination Title IX, sexual harassment affecting staff. Policy 123.2, sudden cardiac arrest. Policy 218.3, discipline of students convicted/adjudicated of sexual assault. Policy 829, electronic signatures/records, and policy 916, volunteers. Those are now all under review, and I guess we vote on them next month. Okay. Okay, we're at the point. Is there any other business from the board before I go to the public and to the Zoom folks? If not, if you have a comment you'd like to make, I do want you to stand up, state your name very loud, and maybe come down to the microphone so the folks on Zoom and YouTube can hear you, and you can queue up right in back of this.
Mr. Mark Redmond.
Thank you. Did you get that, Julie? Okay, great.
Can I use this as a podium?
Sure can.
Thank you. My name is Mark Redmond. I'm a corporate attorney. I have 2 stepsons in the school. First, I want to thank you for keeping the schools open for in-person instruction this year. That took courage on your part. I would like to address a new perspective for you to consider. First, the termination of the disaster emergency by the General Assembly has no bearing on restoring our autonomy. The Department of Health has independent and unrestricted authority that extends beyond the disaster emergency statute to impose and enforce any public health measures they see fit. The contact tracing infrastructure that the DOH built is permanent and cost over $60 million. This is public knowledge, but it's not obvious when you're in the middle of it. The possibility of a new emergency would therefore be likely. Second, there was a real virus, which has now been reported as a bioweapon. However, emergency approval of a vaccine requires that there is no other cure, and we now know that effective therapeutics were deliberately suppressed. Dr. Fauci himself confirms that asymptomatic spread is not the driver. COVID-19 has not been isolated, and the PCR testing has been conducted at the wrong levels. Therefore, all mitigation efforts, masking, social distancing, contact tracing, quarantine, are based on a fraudulent premise. Third, mitigation measures are unconstitutional, and school boards are in a precarious position of having to enforce them. The state has indicated that it's the board's choice, but it's really a Hobson's choice. It pits school boards and families against each other. Boards are forced to implement unconstitutional measures. The mask mandate violates the First Amendment and the Equal Protection Clause. Contact tracing violates the Due Process Clause. The example of the ESSER funding, which was discussed today, that coerces implementation of all the mitigation measures that we thought we were get rid of. The portion related to COVID mitigation certainly is not necessary. And I ask, did you just approve ESSER funding that will force masking for the coming year? What is to be done? We believe that the solution lies with the oath taken by the board to defend the Constitution and working together for a more effective solution. Board members and the superintendent all take an oath required by Pennsylvania law to defend the Constitution. The board is not the problem. The problem comes from Harrisburg. You, the board, have the power and authority to push back against unconstitutional measures. We propose that all school boards and parents work together to address the source of the problem, which is Harrisburg, by petition and/or legal action. In other words, a collaborative effort is the best way to address this. In conclusion, I wish to quote the recent remarks made by a Dutch politician, Thierry Baudet, to the Dutch Parliament. He said, "I hope there will be a moment that we wake up, that we realize this is collective psychosis, that the lockdown of the entire country, half the world, for 1.5 years because of a flu variety is insane, that walking around with these useless, silly masks is insanity, that we conform ourselves to those completely senseless distancing rules, that we see our businesses, our social lives have been destroyed, that we have been held back primary medicines such as ivermectin only to give those experimental injections the status of approved vaccine as soon as we could, that we now ramble on about how the infections are decreasing, while the same thing happening last year like it does every year, and it will happen again as autumn arrives and new infections occur. And now we pretend that it happens because of COVID-19. All the while, that thing we used to call the flu has completely disappeared. But most importantly, I hope that we realize that with the hysteria about this Chinese flu as the pretext, an entire infrastructure has been built. An infrastructure that can be used again at any moment due to any occurrence. Lockdowns, masks, social distancing, no more traveling, handshakes, ridiculous experimental jabs. This COVID phase has been practiced to train obedience. Congratulations. The globalist plans can be carried out and the next step towards mass surveillance and total control can be taken. That's Thierry Baudet, Dutch politician. I thank you for being able to address me. And I invite any and all of you to talk to me at any time about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Redmond, for your comments. And hi.
I don't have to follow Mark, who I just met. That's a little tough. My name is Jacqueline. We have 2 children in the district. They'll both be in high school.
And your last name?
Krasuski.
Okay.
Good luck if you can spell it.
Yep.
First, I'd like to thank the board and anyone involved with keeping the schools open and in person. I moved from New York and they've been closed down and A lot of kids suffering there, so I want to thank you for that. I wanted to take this opportunity to ask the board to continue to show that courage as they plan for the upcoming school year and to have masks optional going forward. I have a petition that was started about 10 days ago, and so far we have about 256 signatures that I can leave with you. There have been so far 28 other school districts that I know of that have put on their website that they will not require masks, they will not require vaccines, nor will they segregate based on vaccine or not. We're asking that the board not only take into consideration their physical health, but their mental and emotional health as it pertains to mask wearing. Masks were imposed on everyone, including children, without looking at the social, psychological, emotional, and physical costs associated with forced masks. We know from the Fauci email dump that they are ineffective in preventing the spread of COVID-19, yet the mask mandate still exists. As I'm sure you're aware, the CDC states that the transmission of COVID-19 among children in schools is extremely rare, and the recovery rate is 99.998%. Most children with COVID-19 have mild symptoms or no symptoms at all. They don't even know they're sick. And yet we make them walk around like they're gonna harm somebody and they have to cover their face. The CDC provides recommendations on guidelines, not laws. In no way should the CDC have the final say on how we care for our children's health. Parents are best suited to make these decisions. We assess risks every day. We all got in a car and drove here today. There was a risk involved. We are thus asking the board to join other boards across the state to make mask wearing optional in the upcoming school year and to ensure that COVID-19 vaccines are not a requirement to attend school. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mrs. K. We'll keep it at that. Okay.
Let me sing a song while you're coming.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Anastasia Theodoropoulos. Dr. Bell and Delaware School Board. As you know, I represent one of many families who have been very supportive and appreciative of all the work you've all been doing to provide options and normalcy to our families during a really unprecedented time and never before seen. Before the school year began, it was our family's decision to have our 8-year-old return to full-time in-class learning. Our 2 daughters back then, ages 8 and 3, never wore masks, nor will they ever. My husband is a scientist, and we looked at the science, and that was our choice. What other parents chose was their personal right too. Our 3rd grader wore a face shield last year. That seemed like a fair compromise at the time. You would think that there would be no issues with the face shield. In the beginning, there wasn't. This past month, with the heat, our daughter started complaining about headaches. She also, for several months, has been getting premature acne around the top of her head and even a sty, even though we sanitized her face shields daily. You see, this is unnatural. Now we see Fauci's emails exposed. Complete incompetence, to say the least, with the ignorance and/or purposeful manipulation of recommended mandates. It's time we say no more. Imagine how many of our kids have been playing normally without fear this entire time, and to go to school with these restrictions that not only don't work, but actually hurt them. We say no more. We implore you to provide families with your intentions for September so that we can make arrangements with our children in our lives, because we will not compromise anymore. Secondly, I want to provide some clarity, and this really comes from a good place. Clarity of what a school system should be based on, like it once was. And I think many of you believe that still. Our families entrust our most prized treasures, our children, for one reason: education. That means ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. That is the role of our schools, and their educational progress should be across the board focus, and I really believe it has been here. Unfortunately, these days, we see a massive undertaking to change this concept by forcing upon our children new social constructs. Let us remind our brave school board and Dr. Bell, we will give you our children to learn how to read and write, not what they should like or how they should think. And may I add, on the taxpayer's dollar, that is a parent's job. Our children are not experiments. Our family escaped from New York City a year and a half ago. The public education system there is a hot mess. I'm not even talking about their response to COVID. We came to this remote town for peace and a simple life. I promise you, a majority of us feel this way, but are not the types to complain, scream, or holler. We do not support cancel culture or instilling fear on others. The silent majority will not be silent anymore. The future of our children depends on each and every one of us, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Theoropoulos.
Hi, everybody. I'm Liza Pearboom, and I have 3 children in the district. I actually wasn't going to speak, but I just had a question. I hope you can give me a little bit more information about the COVID money, this grant that we're applying for. What is the $5, $6, $7 million? What is all of that for?
So I can answer that.
Okay.
We have a wonderful Excel spreadsheet that we can share with the public. I believe public knowledge. It is broken out into various categories, and it does show where each of the ESSERs 1, 2, and 3 have gone. I don't know if we have that with us tonight, Bill, but if not, we can take your email. We can actually post it on our website, if that's okay, John. And we can show you our latest amounts, how they have already been expended, and where we intend to expend them in the next, I believe we have up to 3 years, through 2024, to make those expenditures.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there ties to it? Like,
I'm sorry.
are there ties to the money? Meaning, will you guys not be able to vote on certain things for future issues that may arise, say another wave?
Any money that comes from the federal government has ties to it, yes.
Okay.
So there are things we cannot spend it on, and there are things we must spend it on.
Okay.
And that's
So
in
does
that
the-
Excel spreadsheet.
The spreadsheet give exactly what the government ties your hands to, per se,
Exactly.
far-
No, categories.
categories. So I guess my question is,
We
is
will
that will
be-
you lose power to send us back to school, taking $7 million?
That's a good
Will
question.
you mandate masks because you took government money for COVID?
There,
Will we lose that power? It's just.
we have to have a safety plan that is linked to the ESSERS 3 document, which has not yet been written. We will be posting the spreadsheet as well as a narrative that kind of explains our proposed spending. But it has to be after we write the grant and submit it to the Pennsylvania Department of Education, they will evaluate the grants and determine whether or not our spending will be approved. But for the most part, a lot of it is going into things like technology to recoup the funds that we had to purchase everything for one-to-one in education this year, the additional cameras, all those kinds of things. That's one example. The new reading series. There's a component to address student potential learning loss. We're hoping we don't have a lot of learning loss. Our data at the end of the year doesn't show any significant learning loss because we've been in school since March 13th, 2020, where a lot of other school districts were not. So we are hoping that we don't have a lot of learning loss, but we hope to purchase our new reading series, which would be K through 6. Perhaps the subsequent year, replace our mathematics series. So those are our algebra series in the high school. So things that we perhaps would have to budget in our regular general fund budget. We're looking at ways to be a little bit more creative, addressing the federal requests for addressing student learning loss, but also kind of conserving taxpayer dollars in doing so.
Okay.
I
So
have not
it
read
is
anything
tied-
that has to do with us mandating masks again because of ESSERS.
There has to be a safety plan, but what that looks like, it's, and
We're
it's very
developing that.
correct. We
Right.
decide what that
And
is.
so the money's tied to curriculum as well.
The money, we determine how we are going to spend the funds. Internally.
And there's different categories and there's.
I guess if I see the spreadsheet, it might be a little bit
And
more
it's
clear.
linked back to some sort of COVID-related expense, so it's just the learning loss and technology, things we've had in our normal operating budget that we can subset now. That's kind of the board where we've gone over the last several months.
Mental health services, things like that. So those are the ways we'd like to try to help support the school district and the students by spending the money wisely.
And $1.5 million of it for the addition to the high school. For the multipurpose
For
room, so we
the,
have more cafeteria
so
space.
so that in case we need more space. Okay. And so then all of these will have to be approved by the board.
The grant they just approved, the accepting of the applications, and I will be writing the grants along with input, and we will be posting the narrative and asking for stakeholder input and feedback through our website. So that will be posted in the next week.
Okay. All right,
So
thank
the
you.
worksheet is a work in progress. I mean,
Well,
the
it changes.
spreadsheet is a work in progress till, like Peg says, we go through that hoop.
Right.
So it's because now we still don't have the direction totally from PDE, so.
Right, this is all
That-
new money with new
So
rules.
the spreadsheet isn't ready for posting until we go through the process that
Oh,
Peg explained.
Well, we have, as a board, a wonderful spreadsheet, the best spreadsheet I've seen in 20 years.
Right.
So we'll keep the public up to date on that.
Okay.
But
And
we
once
won't-
it's approved, we'll post it.
We will post a global narrative that explains the categories and how we would like to spend money. For example, HVAC systems, which would have, provide better utilization of our air quality in the buildings. So that's just one example. Things that have to get done anyway. So if it meets the COVID regulations, that's the direction we'd like to go in, so.
Okay.
But it will be posted with the narratives and looking for
On the website.
feedback. Yes.
And the spreadsheet also.
We can put a draft when we get ready to post the narrative, we can post the draft.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
Just
It
snap it.
does change sometimes, and one of the examples of, we had money, we thought we were gonna buy things in the federal funds under ESSER, and then we got money from FEMA, so we had FEMA pay for it, because it was things like cleaning supplies, stuff like that. So then that allowed more money in ESSER to buy things like Chromebooks. So it moves a lot,
Mhm.
but we can certainly get a draft
Okay.
once we
Thank
get
you.
ready.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Perrable. Back to Mr. Redmond.
Yes, just to follow up on the ESSER funding. I'm on the Department of Education frequently asked question on ESSER 3, which I believe is what we're talking about, is ESSER 3.
2 and 3.
So ESSER 3 requires an education authority to submit a health and safety plan. And then, as I understand it, the health and safety plan requires the district to tell how you will provide a plan that will include universal and correct wearing of masks, modifying facilities to allow for physical distancing, hand washing and respiratory etiquette, cleaning and ventilation, contact tracing in combination with isolation and quarantine, diagnostic and screening testing and efforts to provide COVID-19 vaccination to school communities. So my understanding is that the ESSER 3 funds are conditioned on providing a health plan that has all of those conditions. Is that correct?
The health and safety plan asks us how we're dealing with those. So for example, for masking, our standard answer for masking is expiring June 28th as per from the state government. So that's it. June 28th is the drop dead date. So we're done with masks because that's going to be our answer for the masking part.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
I don't see anyone else getting up to speak. So with that, I will make some announcements. There is no DEI subcommittee meeting in July. July 15th, 2021 is our regular board meeting at 6 p.m., but we will not be here. We will be back in the, right, John? We're not,
Back in the district office.
back, even though it says Delaware Valley High School Auditorium,
Yes.
it is
We're
not.
advertising it the other way.
Okay, so we're not going to be here. We're going to be back in the district office. We have a motion to adjourn.
Oh, hold on, we have one email.
Oh, we have an email.
Hold on, I have to unmute.
Mhm.
This is from April Ryder. I wanted to share a great big thank you to you and your, this is to Kim Butitis and CC the board. I wanted to share a great big thank you to you and your amazing staff for a great year. I cannot express how much this past year has meant to our family. I'll leave the two students' names out. Refused to let us do a countdown to the last day of school because they didn't want it to end. As we left the parking lot yesterday, they both began to cry and told me they were just so sad it was over. You and your staff have made them feel that way with the love, compassion, and understanding that you show them each and every day. They got upset when my husband beeped the horn because they did not want to celebrate leaving. We woke up this morning and they asked to do a countdown to the first day of school and asked me to email you to see if you could start school early. I hope you and the entire staff get some time to rest, relax, and recharge. You all deserve it. Thank you for the smiles, hard work, dedication, compassion, and love that was shown each and every day. See you in September.
Yay, yes, yay. Sure.
Is it possible to also get a copy of that safety prevention plan that's going to be submitted?
Yes, the health and safety plan will go up. Our draft of it will go up too. Yes.
Can I have your name for the record, please?
Sure.
Mr. K, okay, yes. Gotcha, all right. With that, ending on such a great note, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?